Hey guys, it's Lisa with Are You My Cousin? And I want to welcome you to our very first YouTube live stream. Normally I'm over on Facebook, but I wanted to give YouTube a try out. I know a number of my listeners or readers really prefer YouTube, and so I thought let's try something new. So here we are. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that everything goes well. So if there are any tech problems, guys, I will ask forgiveness ahead of time just because it's my first time. So anyway, welcome, guys. If you are new, if you have not joined in on any of my previous live cast before over on Facebook, I am Lisa Lisson. I'm with the blog Are You My Cousin? And I work very hard to try and take the overwhelm out of your genealogy research. I do try to get together every Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern time in the US to chat genealogy. And I would love for you to feel free to put comments in the section. I do see those when they come in, and I can answer questions as we go along. So thanks, Lynn. Lynn's from North Carolina, another North Carolinian. So welcome, Lynn. Thank you. So just to give you kind of an update of what's happening in the Are You My Cousin world these days. So I do have an ongoing 5-day photo digitization project going on, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Basically, this week for 5 days, if you can scan 10 photographs each day, you will be able, at the end of the week, you'll have 50 photographs. So 5 days, just scanning 10 photographs a day, because this is a good time to kind of start some of those projects that we always kind of thought some days here. So since we're all staying home so much more, this is a great time to do it. I've been doing it as well and having a lot of fun with it. I made discovering new photographs, or really just photographs that I had really just kind of forgotten about, because I am fortunate enough that I have so many photographs from my ancestors. So it's been a lot of fun for me to do. When you do that, I'd love it if you want to post your favorite photograph that you scanned for that day. If you want to post it over on Instagram or in the Facebook page, I'd love to see it. We've been seeing, people have been sharing lots of really fun photographs, and it's been a lot of fun to see those. So I'm happy to have you guys share those photographs as well. I try to post one of mine each day so that you can kind of see that I'm doing this as well. So, hey, Teresa is from Florida, and Philly is from, we've got somebody from Arizona, Phoenix from Fayetteville, Andrea from Fayetteville, North Carolina for your very first time. Welcome. So glad to have you. Not too far from where I'm at. And you have Roberta sitting at 90 degrees in Orlando, Florida. Oh, wow. I think summer is getting there early, isn't it? Well, we have beautiful spring here, except that today's a little bit cloudy, but it's summer in North Carolina. Hey, we have Cooper from Washington, and Debbie is joining us again from Big Bear. I'm so excited you guys did find me over from Facebook. You just followed me right over to YouTube. Thank you so much. So if this is your first time, again, feel free to add comments as we go along. We'll be chatting a little bit about digitizing photographs. I'm interested to see kind of how it's going for you guys. And I can kind of give you some tips to help you move forward with that. What I tell people when I do these challenges on Facebook and on Instagram, they are I'm very relaxed. You're never behind. As long as you start, you're never behind, because you always come out ahead, even if you only do 1 day's worth of photo scans. So don't worry about that. And also, just if you guys think about it, I would love for it when we're done today, if you would subscribe to the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. I am going to be doing the lives over here, but I'm also going to I do add new videos at least once or twice a week. And so I don't want you to miss any of those videos as well. Okay, so let's talk about digitizing photos first before we get into identify them, because probably what's happened is you start to pull out old family photographs, those boxes that are stuffed in the back of a drawer in the top of a closet, is that you find photographs and you have individuals in those photographs and you don't know who they are. My ancestors were not known for labeling their photographs, unfortunately, for me. And what happens is sometimes you look at those photographs, and for a long time, I don't know if you guys were like me, I tended to think that everybody in those photographs was actually a relative. And that's simply not true. You have to remember that they're not always relatives. So that's something that's been a real interesting and fun puzzle for me. It's not unusual to come into my house and see where I have taken a section of photographs and spread them up all over my dining room table as I start moving them around to figure out whose facial features look like whom. And I'm just always working with those photographs, trying to put together family groups, and if not family lines, if that's all I can do, that's what I'll do. So I've been pulling them out, trying to get them scanned, and I've done this a couple different ways, guys. So my latest thing that I have been using for scanning my photographs is the app PhotoMyne. So it's PhotoMyne. So I've been using that. That is an app, and they contacted me after Roots Tech, and I started looking at their app, and I absolutely love it because it does two things for me. Number one, it's very, very fast, so I can do it quickly, and I can make progress quickly. I don't have to go one by one by one. I can scan multiple photographs, and then it magically knows, and it can then scan them. It can crop them out, enhances them a little bit, and then has them stored for me. So I really like that fact that it's so much faster. I do have a Flip Pal, which I do use as well, and I like Flip Pal a lot, guys. I do like that one a lot too. I really like it for if I have larger photographs, and that's something that you guys might want to think about. If you have like a really large photograph, an oversized, or even those large portraits that sometimes our families had, like over the fireplace, because you can use that with their stitching program to really get a good scan on those large photographs like that. So I do like my Flip Pal. It's just a little bit slower if I'm doing individual picture one by one, and tends to go through my batteries really quick. But I still like it, and I like to take it with me when I go places for scanning. But for just quick scanning, I really like, and the smaller photographs, I'm really liking that PhotoMyne. I also happen to have a lot of photo albums because everybody sort of cleaned out their closet when I started doing family history research, and I got all those photographs. But I also got a lot of scrapbooks, a lot of photo album type things. And so I like just taking one scan of one page, and then it will crop out all my 4 or 5 photographs that are there. So that's what I'm using. Now, one of the things, a question that a reader came to me with, and I thought this was interesting, and this really applies to, I think it really applies to probably any photo type of app, would be, or excuse me, a phone app, an app on your phone, is they were getting some glare. Because some of those older photographs, they have kind of a shininess to them. And I was having that trouble too. Regardless of which app I was using on my phone, I would get kind of a glare with that. And really, basically, I just kind of went around my house till I could find a spot where I could be away from direct sunlight. If I could just find a good spot where I wasn't getting the glare from the lights. So I actually had to go into a room that was a little darker than what I would normally have thought I could use, but it worked out really well. So I just kind of identified that one spot in my house that I know that if I've got some of those photographs, I want to say they were probably from the 50s time period that I was struggling with a lot of glare on, was that when I got into a darker room away from windows, then it was helpful to me. So just take it around your house and see what you think, and kind of find what you find there. So that should help you out a lot too. But again, we're only doing 10 a day, and so at the end of 5 days, you have 50, and that's a really great thing. So just to give you a heads up, you're going to start seeing some more of my ancestors on my website, because 99% of the photographs over there are my ancestors. So Debbie said, a notes from Roots Tech suggested using outside under gray sky will knock out glare. That's a really good suggestion. So if you're having trouble with glare, if you go outside on a cloudy day, that would knock off the glare. That's an excellent idea as well. Thanks for that, Debbie. Appreciate that. Okay, so how many of you guys have ended up with a lot of photographs that you're not really sure who they are, the individuals? And it happens, and that's going to happen a lot. So I really wanted to kind of give you some tips to start with for identifying your photographs. And then if you have more questions, we can talk about them. Also, I have a number of posts over on the website that talk about photographs and identifying photographs and dating old photographs. So feel free to just put photographs in the search bar of the Are You My Cousin website, and you'll find all of those posts that you can peruse. So let's talk about some tips. And the first tip that I want to give you about trying to identify some of those people is to check with your family members. Now, I know you probably already have. Do it again, because sometimes memories are jogged if you ask more than once. But also, you want to ask, even if you're only asking, what family line does this come from? Maybe you don't even need to know, maybe you need to know where that picture came from. Is it your father's side? Is it your mother's side? Maybe you need to go start narrowing down that way. But then what you want to do is see if you can reach out to other family members. So for instance, I had a photograph one time. I did this a few years ago, and it was a bunch of children, and I knew who some of the children were, and I could even date the children. I even knew where the thing was taken. It was taken at a family reunion in 1946. My father was in it, so he was there. He could tell me a little bit. He said, I don't remember who those kids are. He said, they're my cousins. That was all I could get. I had one other cousin, and so I reached out to her. She was a very distant cousin, and I sent her this photograph and said, what do you think? This is who we think they are. Any other ideas? And all of a sudden, she's like, well, I can name this one, but I sent it to my two brothers, and they sent it to their other cousins. And we had this whole chain, probably of about 6 or 8 very distant cousins I had never met before who were identifying the photograph. So what my point is here is, if you want to get as many eyes on that photograph as you can, and you can do that kind of just working your way through the family, through one distant cousin, and never ask. Every time you show that photograph, go, who else should you send it to? Who else should see this? Because we all know different people. So definitely you want to do that. Hey, Andrea. So Andrea just popped a question in there. Hold that, and I'm going to address that a little bit more toward the end, Andrea, but thanks for that. I will get back to that. It's talking about how to fix damaged photos. So we will talk about that. So asking your family members, and again, getting the eyes, as many eyes on it as you can. Now you can do this through, in that particular case, I did email. Another way that I do that is I use social media, certainly. Not just the family. The family's kind of a given on social media. I'll pop that into our family group. We have I belong to a couple Facebook groups that are made up of certain family lines, and so I'll pop those photos in there in a heartbeat and ask, and that's obviously a very good place to get those going. If you don't have a family group, I would encourage you to start one, because it is a good way to get questions answered and to share information that way. But I also consider trying to get it in front of people who are in, say, genealogy societies for the area where my ancestors lived. So for instance, I know that most of the photographs that I have, I know that they came from counties in South Central Virginia. So I will try to reach out to those genealogical societies, find other researchers, but I will also send them, I set up a, you can do this in Google Photos. I've done it in Google Photos. I've done it in Flickr as well, where I set up an album of photographs that I need people to help me identify, and then I share the link to those online photographs with genealogical societies, with historical societies, and they can help. They have been very wonderful in helping me identify some of the photographs and let me know who I should talk to, so they can help to kind of disseminate that as well. So I would encourage you to try and do that, because it's a great way to get your photographs in front of people that you really have no idea who they are, but you know that you have that common interest in genealogy. So I would encourage that, absolutely. So try that. If you are a blogger, in fact, that is really how Are You My Cousin started out, was really just a family blog, never became teaching, never thought to do what I do today. It was a way to share information. And so I would pop those photographs on there. I was like, here's another photograph. I don't know who this is. Who knows? And that's how I got some of my photographs identified. In fact, there is, if you read the latest post over on the website, what you'll find is that I did that with a photograph, and it was 5 months later when a distant cousin identified that photograph for me. And through that, and through that connection, and through emails, it literally opened up an entire side of my family line where we got to meet people and go to a family reunion. So don't underestimate that. So if you have any inkling to blog, it's a great way to share with your family the information you have, but also to reach out to other people to get things answered, questions answered. So I would encourage you to do that. There are a lot of, there are also some websites out there that are dedicated to orphan photographs, unidentified photographs, things like deadfred.com. I know it's a strange name, but it's a great website where you can post photographs that you have that you may not know who they are. Again, they may not even be your ancestors. They could simply be a friend of your ancestors. You can post there with whatever information you have. Maybe you know that it was taken in a certain county. Maybe you know it was taken in Halifax County, Virginia. Maybe you don't. Maybe you know the photographer, you just don't know who it is. Well, that's a great way to get other eyes on there so people can search by whatever information you are able to put out there. And if you don't know anything, well, that's fine too. Hopefully somebody will get their eyes on it and see it for you. So that would be a good way to do it. Now, the other thing I would encourage you to do is to do an image search, or what we call reverse image search, on Google. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can check out, there's a post on the website for that. But you can search by images on Google. And so if you have that photograph scanned, you're not sure who it is, do a search on it. Put that into the image search for Google, and it will return hits for that. Now, you may or may not, you may get lucky and you may not. It just sort of depends. But if there's somebody else out there who's researching, if there's somebody else out there who has that photograph maybe on their family website, you may find that in your search results and be able to make that connection. So I would encourage you to do that. The flip side of that is, if you have a blog, like your own family blog that you've created and are upkeeping, put those photographs in that. Okay, you can even create entire posts on that, or you can create entire pages, because Google will see that. And then if somebody does a reverse image search at a later date, you could potentially make that connection and get an identification made. Getting photographs out there in front of people is not always the fastest way to get things identified, but sometimes it's the only way, particularly when the individuals are not actually family members. If they are just the photographs. My great-grandmother loved to take photographs. She grew up about the time the Brownie camera came about in the early 1900s, and they took a lot of photographs. And they took a lot of photographs of their friends. And so they traded them. They traded them around. So it is hard to sometimes know. So that, I'm going to give you a link to a website on my blog that will take you to, these tips and go a little more in depth. And again, you can find other articles on the website about that too. So I wanted to go back because Andrea asked, she said, how do you fix damaged photo from your photo album? She was given a lot of them, but most of them have passed. I'm going to assume most of them have passed. I'm going to assume most of your relatives have passed away, maybe from that. So fixing damage can be for the actual photograph itself. The photograph itself, I've not had a lot of I've not had any experience in doing that, actually. So I'm going to actually probably take a note. I want to ask my friend Melissa Barker, the archive lady, because I know she will have some. I'm going to make a note. I know she'll have some ideas for that. So when it comes to the actual photograph, you may have to have a specialist, take care of that. But if it's one that you've scanned and you need to clean it up, or maybe there's ink on it and you want to take that out, there are a lot of programs out there. So there are the big ones like Photoshop, which if you have, and my understanding is there's a bit of a learning curve for that, but that it does a really good job. In fact, my dad was able to literally put a cabinet card that was in pieces back together with that. So I'm not proficient in Photoshop, but if you have somebody who is, they can do some really nice things with that. The program that I use is VividPix, and I can put that in there. When we're done here, I'll be happy to put that in the comments, is VividPix. I use that while I scan, and even though I use PhotoMon for scanning, and it does some fixing of the photographs, does some auto correction. if I have a photograph that has some damage to it, cosmetic damage, if I have, if I want to clean it up, if I want to change contrast, more, I call it bigger edits, I'm probably going to run it through the VividPix Restore program. It's a fabulous program. You've seen me use it before. That it just gives you some more options for adjusting colors and things like that, and well as trying to, I believe, you can make some edits that way for the damages. But you're really going to need probably a little bit more of a, if it's the actual photo, don't try to do that yourself unless you really know what you're doing. Debbie said, quality of photo mod, DPI. It is, let me see if I can remember what my DPI is. It is not TIFF, it's JPEGs. Actually, that's not right either. I think it's PNGs. Well, I'm just pulling it up on my phone right now to tell you. So yes, and then the quality is really pretty good. But to be honest, most of my photos are not that good anyway. I mean, the quality is not that great anyway. So it is sufficient for these black and white things. When I do some more of the ones, say from when my children were younger, before we were doing the smartphones, then I'm quite pleased with the quality of it there as well. You can try. They have a free trial. You can try, or a free version. You can try the free version just to see what you like, if you like it or not. So yeah, it's it's just honest. It's the speed of it that has really helped me out a lot. They also have a color. I don't know if anybody's been doing colorizing their photographs. You can do it through MyHeritage. Has a good process for that. PhotoMine will do it. I think there's some others out there. I've had kind of mixed results with all of them. I can't say. I think I like kind of just having the old black and whites or sepia tone, but I know there are some for the colorizations. Some of those earlier ones I'm getting kind of like half when I try these programs, and it doesn't really seem to matter which one, that I'll get like maybe they'll colorize it and then the hand will still be black and white, or only half the body will be colorized and the other half is left over. So, but it's fun to play around with. I enjoy doing that, and I think it's an interesting thing to try. And it's a lot of fun. It helps get some interest for the other folks as well in the family. So, all right, guys. So I'm going to wrap up here in just a few minutes. So if you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer those. And so again, try and scan 10 photos a day. This is a great time. Most of us have time to do that. So I would encourage you to try and do that. What else was I going to tell you? I think that was it. Again, if you're new, thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't had a chance, I do have a Facebook group that you're welcome to join over on Facebook, that we talk a little more at conversations and ask any of your genealogy questions. And a lot of times the group will get to them before I do and answer them. They're so quick and so fast, and some really fabulous researchers in that. So feel free to check them out. And I would love for it if you guys could join me here again next Thursday for another YouTube live stream. And if you think that one of your fellow researchers, or if you think somebody would enjoy this or would benefit from listening to our talk today, I would love for it if you would share the video when we're done. I think that would be really helpful for them, as well as helpful for me, and to help me keep things moving along here on the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. All right, guys, have a fantastic rest of the day, and I look forward to talking to you next week. All right. Bye. Thanks, Debbie. Appreciate it. Yes, Debbie, definitely try those Google images. It's a really interesting thing. When I start to do that, I'll start with one, and then I get addicted, and I start with another and another and another, and I just keep going. Sometimes, I'll be honest, when it comes to doing the reverse Google image searches, sometimes I'll have good luck, but a lot of times I don't. But it's that one time that I make the connection, I get the result that I need, then that makes it all worthwhile. So just, know that sometimes, the odds are not always in your favor for that, but it's worth it. All right. Bye, guys.